Trump just stood in front of over 800 American generals at Quantico and said this: "We will now defend our own borders instead of wasting time in Kenya or Somalia." You don't believe me? Let's listen to this together.
But together with many of you in the room, we've brought back the fundamental principle that defending the homeland is the military's first and most important priority. That's what it is. Only in recent decades did politicians somehow come to believe that our job is to police the far reaches of Kenya and Somalia, while America is under invasion from within. We're under invasion from within. No different than a foreign enemy, but more difficult in many ways because they don't wear uniforms. At least when they're wearing a uniform, you can take them out. These people don't have uniforms. But we are under invasion from within. We're stopping it very quickly. After spending trillions of dollars defending the borders of foreign countries, with your help, we're defending the borders of our country from now on. We're not going to let this happen. Biden let people come in from prisons.
That's him. You know, he said, you know what, this is a complete waste of time. That is how he described America's military partnership with Kenya. And to a lot of Kenyans, that line hit like a slap. Because for over a decade, we've been told that Kenya is America's trusted ally in Africa. We host their soldiers in Lamu. We fight their battles in Somalia. Our young men have died in uniform because of this partnership. And then Trump stands up and calls it a waste. That's why some Kenyans are furious. But that's who Trump is. His politics is built on America first. He puts Americans first. To him, US soldiers shouldn't be dying in deserts thousands of miles away. They should be on US streets in New York, Chicago, LA, fighting what he calls an invasion from within. In short, the money that we are using to support these partnerships, bring it home. Let us fight our own wars. You get what I'm saying? And he says these are the places that matter to him, not Kenya, Afghanistan, or Somalia. And definitely, he calls these things distractions, money pits, places Americans should abandon. And to Americans, that message definitely makes sense. But to understand why this hurts so deeply, why some Kenyans are feeling the way they are feeling, we have to go back to 2011 when Kenya launched Operation Linda Inchi. You remember it, guys? With one promise to crush Al-Shabaab once and for all. But 14 years later, Al-Shabaab is still here. Still killing, still ambushing soldiers, still bombing hotels. We are talking Westgate, Garissa University, Dusit, countless roadside bombs in Somalia, and hundreds of Kenyan soldiers have returned home in coffins. Billions of shillings have been poured into this war. You heard Trump actually said trillions of dollars because America is funding it. They are funding the training of our soldiers, arming them, and still there is no end in sight. And that is why Trump's words cut so deeply. Because deep down, we know he's not lying when he compares Somalia to Afghanistan. This war looks very endless. And in the middle of it, there are whispers that some people are even profiting from the very conflict they claim to be fighting. From smuggling to corruption inside AMISOM. So when Trump calls it a waste, it feels very disrespectful, but it also forces us to confront something very uncomfortable. Maybe he's just saying out loud what many already know, that after all the lives have been lost and all the money has been spent, Kenya has little to show for it. And that's definitely the humiliation, because, well, our leaders, the presidency, are calling us the headquarters of Africa. The world is looking at this record and seeing failure. They see a country stuck in a war it cannot finish, begging for loans it cannot repay, and staging diplomatic theatrics that fool no one. That's the anger behind Trump's words, not just the insult, but the truth. Actually, they reveal this truth that they keep talking about. It reveals how weak we actually look. But what makes some Kenyans also even angrier is the Ruto factor. At the same time, Trump is dismissing Kenya. Reports have emerged that President Ruto's government spent over 325 million Kenya shillings on American lobbyists. that almost $3.5 million of our own taxpayers' money that can help feed families and definitely help in infrastructure, or help even farmers who are struggling with the cost of fertilizer. People feel that this money was just poured into the US public relations firms, just so Ruto could polish his image in Washington and secure photo moments and brand himself as Africa's chief diplomat at the UN. Have you guys seen that report? That is how much money was spent during this UN event the other day. But what did Kenya get in return? Nothing. Ruto came home with hashtags, handshakes, and staged pictures. And maybe he had a vision of maybe gifting Macron our resources, and that was fulfilled. Maybe he won there. But then days later, Trump, the very man we were trying to impress, he mocked us publicly. Now, to many Kenyans, this is definitely humiliation of the highest order. We paid to be embarrassed. We hired these PR firms just for us to end up being embarrassed. That whole speech did not move anyone in the UN. But let's go to another irony in this whole story. Those US bases in Kenya, you know where they are. They don't exist because Washington loves us so much. Yani America loves Kenya so much, they are willing to set their own bases in Kenya. No, they exist because they serve America's interests. I mean, they are launching drone strikes into Somalia, protecting Red Sea shipping lanes, monitoring China and Russia's moves in Africa. So, if Trump again now comes and decides, you know what, I'm pulling out, it might actually hurt Washington more than it hurts us. The KDF will still guard our borders. Al-Shabaab definitely remains our problem, whether America is here or not. So, we have to learn how to deal with it. But now, that insult by Trump remains, because at the end of the day, this is about dignity, not bases. I cannot imagine what Ruto is feeling right now after Trump said this. Sometimes you might not agree with this man, but then again, you look at him. You have the President of the United States calling what you are doing, the partnerships, a waste of time and money. This is the time I say you don't want to even be a president in this country. But maybe it's time we flip the question. If Trump says America is wasting time in Kenya, then why should Kenya keep hosting America at Mandabe? That base in Lamu is not for us. It's for them. It's America's war room, America's shield, America's listening post. And yet, when it comes to respect, we are getting none. We are getting none. So maybe Kenyans should start asking, why not shut it down? I saw people like Ekuru Okot saying, maybe we should actually start by shutting that base down. Because if their presence brings humiliation instead of dignity, if this is going to cost us our sovereignty instead of security, please, then what exactly are we gaining by keeping that base open? Closing Mandabe would send one powerful message. Kenya is not a pawn, not a client state, and not a stage for powers that mock us in public. So yes, Kenyans are definitely mad at Trump, but the real anger is about what his words reveal. That after 14 years of fighting in Somalia, after billions have been spent, after hundreds of lives have been lost, and after millions have been wasted on PR abroad, Kenya is still not taken seriously. You know what Trump just did? He just reminded us of something we hate to admit, that we talk like giants, but the world treats us like beggars. And until Kenya and Africa as a whole build real power, economic power, political power, and military power, we will always be dismissed like this. In front of all those 800 plus world generals in Quantico. Now they know Kenya ain't it. They know. And that is how we will always be treated, because we act as if we are the ones who want to solve America's problems, And here is the question. Are we actually angry because Trump insulted us, or because he told the truth about how the world really sees us? Which one? Which one are we more angry at? But let me read you a couple of reactions from people on X. I definitely love going through some of this reaction. I am David said, President Trump is right. It is everyone's duty to protect their country and grow it. But what do our leaders do in Africa? They loot and loot and loot, then call the big brothers, USA and others, to help clean our mess and protect us from malnourished Al-Shabaab. We are damn ASF. That is what they've said. Ruto said, we have to see the bigger picture here. Our leaders have their flaws, but we can't just call them dumb. They are working with the US to strengthen our military and keep us safe. It's about protecting our homes, our families, and our future from real threats like Al-Shabaab. Politics said, how convenient US and the global north caused the disaster in Somalia. Somalia isn't a failure, it's a victim of US endless capitalism and refusal to face the consequences of its action. If Trump wants to talk about Somalia, he should start first with reparations, right? Moria says, President William Ruto should use this opportunity to do away with the US military installations in Kenya, including the Cooperative Security Locations, CSL, Manda Bay in Lamu, which contains the US Navy's Camp Simba, the Manda Bay Airfield and Forward Operating Base in Wajir. So some people actually think this is a good opportunity for Ruto to decide water, even as we don't need you here. But at the end of the day, I mean, you don't want another president of a different country talking like this about your country. You have to be able to assess and ask yourselves, are we really independent? Because if Trump can be able to, I'm not going to say embarrass, but because he's stating some of the facts here, but if he can actually go in front of all the media and those generals and decide, you know what, I'm saying, being in Kenya and even helping them in this operation is a waste of America's money, What does that say about us, Why are we even in these wars, guys? Maybe we are missing a point here, all right? I know we have to keep our borders strong, but can we actually do that without America's help? And are we really independent until we are able to do that as us, without the influence from the USA? And obviously, some people are looking forward to see where this goes. That statement is not light at all. Definitely, it will involve cutting off aid that support some of these missions. Now people are saying, maybe it's about time, why have we been in this place? Now, I don't know what your thoughts are, but I get why some people would be angry at such statements. And I also get why some people would see it as an opportunity for us to finally assess where we are as a nation. Let me know your thoughts on the comment section. Let me know where you think we go from here. And yeah, that's just pretty much it. Bye-bye.